the 20th of October, 2025. At dawn, the Louvre stands silent, its marble halls sealed under flashing blue lights. Police tape flutters beneath the glass pyramid as armed officers move in formation. Inside the Galerie de Pollen, shards of reinforced glass glitter across the floor like frozen lightning. The French crown jewels, gone. Detectives whisper through their earpieces. A curator collapses to her knees before an empty display, her reflection fractured in the broken case. Sirens echo through the courtyard. Cameras click. The world's most secure museum has been breached. By noon, France is humiliated. The theft has already made global headlines. How did a group of men in construction vests bypass the Louvre's million-euro security system, steal 8 royal jewels in under 7 minutes, and vanish without a trace? How did it all lead to this? Long before the alarms fell silent, the plan had been in motion. Months earlier, a quiet renovation project began on the museum's northern wing. Contractors, electricians, and scaffolding crews became a daily sight along the Seine. Among them, 4 men blended seamlessly into the background. Hard hats, reflective vests, forged work orders. The Louvre Galerie de Pollen, home to France's crown jewels, had not been targeted since the 18th century. The jewels once graced the heads of kings and emperors: Louis XIV, Napoleon III, Empress Eugénie. Each piece carried the weight of empire and revolution, of France's glory and vanity. For the men who planned the heist, that history wasn't sacred, it was currency. Investigators later traced the group's origins to a network of professional art thieves operating across Europe. Some had roots in Eastern European smuggling rings. Others were veterans of high-value jewelry robberies in Geneva and Milan. What united them was precision and patience. According to early reports, the crew had studied the Louvre's logistics for over 6 months. They knew when guards rotated, which corridors went dark between patrols, and exactly how long the alarm would take to trigger once the glass was shattered. Their reconnaissance was clinical, disguised as labor. Cameras captured them installing panels, moving scaffolds, and casually walking past the Galerie de Pollen dozens of times, each step rehearsing the escape they would later execute. Paris police would eventually call it a crime of choreography. The crew didn't need force, they needed timing, and on the night of October 19th, they found it. Just before 3 a.m., a white utility van rolled into the courtyard. A rented basket lift extended silently toward the museum's second floor. In less than a minute, the men disappeared inside through a half-unlocked maintenance window. No guards noticed, no motion sensors tripped. At 3:07 a.m., they smashed 2 display cases and vanished into the night with nearly 100 million euros worth of history. The city awoke to headlines that felt impossible. Crown jewels stolen from the Louvre. France's pride had been pierced at its heart. The Louvre had seen revolutions, wars, and world leaders, but nothing like this. By sunrise, more than 200 officers from the Brigade de Répression du Banditisme were on site. Every exit, camera feed, and access log was seized. Helicopters circled the museum's glass pyramid as detectives replayed the same 7 minutes of security footage again and again. The thieves had moved with the precision of stage actors. In the footage, they appeared in perfect sequence. One kept watch by the courtyard, one at the lift controls, 2 inside the gallery. Their movements were rehearsed, silent, deliberate. Within 420 seconds, they were gone, leaving behind no fingerprints, no DNA, no tire tracks. The only clue was the van rented 3 days earlier from a small depot in Ivry-Serson, registered under a fake company name. Inside, police found traces of dust and paint consistent with construction debris, not jewels. Forensic experts from the Institut National de la Police Scientifique confirmed what investigators feared. The crew had dismantled or burned their tools within hours of the theft. Detective Elodie Marchand, head of the Louvre task force, called it a ghost operation. Her team combed through every frame of Paris CCTV, scanning over 4,000 hours of footage. They identified a van crossing Pont Neuf at 3:18 a.m., then disappearing into the labyrinth of side streets near the Bastille. From there, nothing. Interpol soon joined the hunt. Jewelry theft of this scale meant one thing: a destination beyond France. Customs checkpoints in Belgium, Switzerland, and Italy were alerted. Undercover agents were dispatched to Antwerp's diamond district, where stolen gems often re-emerged as newly cut stones. The theory was chilling. The thieves might have melted the crowns, removed the diamonds, and recut them into anonymous fragments. The jewels that symbolized French monarchy could now be scattered across the world, set into watches, pendants, or hidden in vaults. Meanwhile, whispers spread inside the Louvre. How had the crew known the alarm delay? How did they know which window was unlatched, which gallery was under renovation, and which guards rotated off-duty at 3 a.m.? Forensic analysts found no sign of hacking, but access logs revealed something deeper. An employee keycard had been cloned. The card belonged to a maintenance supervisor on contract, a man who vanished the morning after the heist. 3 days later, his burned-out car was found on the outskirts of Lyon. In the ash, police discovered a melted ID badge and a single intact glove. DNA analysis matched another name already in Interpol's database, a former safecracker linked to jewel heists in Milan and Zurich. The operation's puzzle pieces began to align. One insider with security access, 2 logistics experts for transport and timing, 1 specialist for glass and alarm bypass. It was a masterpiece of planning and betrayal. Over the next 2 weeks, raids stretched from Paris to Marseille. 15 suspects were detained. 3 men were eventually charged, but the jewels were still gone. Public outrage erupted. The media called it La Honte du Louvre, the shame of the Louvre. Opposition leaders demanded resignations. Memes flooded social media, comparing the museum's security to a baguette box with a lock. Behind closed doors, French intelligence compiled a classified report. The thieves had been tipped off by a subcontractor during the Louvre's air conditioning maintenance project. The system had been scheduled for a midnight shutdown, the same hour the alarm briefly lost sensitivity. It wasn't an accident. It was orchestration. Still, one question haunted everyone involved. If 3 men were arrested, where were the jewels? Had they been destroyed, or were they still hidden somewhere in plain sight, perhaps even within France itself? Detective Marchand's final statement before the trial summed it up. They didn't steal just gold or diamonds. They stole the illusion that the Louvre could never be touched. The courtroom at the Palais de Justice was packed. Journalists lined the marble corridors. Camera flashes lit the vaulted ceiling like lightning. Outside, protesters carried placards reading, "Return our heritage." Inside, silence fell as the 3 accused, Jean-Luc R., Adrien M., and Pavel K., were escorted to their seats. Each man wore the same expressionless calm. They had been in custody for weeks, arrested through Interpol warrants that linked them to prior jewel thefts in Milan, Geneva, and Monaco. But this time was different. This was the Louvre, France's pride. The prosecution opened with a single phrase: 7 minutes, $100 million, and an insult to the nation. Over the next hours, investigators presented a reconstruction of the night of October 19. 32 a.m. The van parks in the Cour Napoleon. 3:04, lift descends. 36, 2 display cases shattered. 37, gallery empty. Every movement was documented through internal CCTV and city surveillance. Yet the defense insisted the evidence was circumstantial. None of the defendants appeared clearly on camera. All wore masks, gloves, and vests common to Paris construction crews. No DNA, no fingerprints, no gems. Detective Elodie Marchand took the stand. Her testimony was calm but firm. She described months of surveillance linking the men's phones to rental records and one critical signal: a burner phone pinging near the Louvre that night registered under Pavel K.'s fake company. The defense countered with precision. They argued that the signal could have come from anyone in a 1-kilometer radius, and that the Louvre's own renovation staff were equally complicit in negligence. When cross-examined, the museum's head of security admitted that a temporary sensor outage had indeed occurred that morning, a 15-second gap in motion detection during system calibration. A murmur swept through the courtroom. Was this a crime or an inside job? Day after day, witnesses came and went. Curators, guards, even the night janitor, who claimed to have seen 4 shadows moving too fast to follow. Still, the jewels themselves remained missing, a void at the center of every argument. Then came the twist. Forensics had recovered microglass particles from one suspect's jacket, fragments matching the shattered display case polymer. The defense tried to dismiss it as contamination, but under microscopic analysis, the polymer layer bore a unique anti-reflective coating used exclusively for the Louvre's royal jewel displays. The courtroom fell silent. The jury leaned forward. The defense lawyer exhaled, eyes down. By late October 2025, after 3 weeks of testimony, the judge delivered the ruling. 3 suspects formally charged with aggravated theft of national cultural property. Yet the jewels, the crown, the tiara, the diamond clasp remained unaccounted for. Interpol issued new notices tracing financial transactions through shell companies in Switzerland and Monaco. Rumors surfaced of stones sold to private collectors, some recut so finely that they could never be traced again. In a televised address, the French Minister of Culture called the case a humiliation born from underestimating risk. The words echoed across France, not just as condemnation of a theft, but of a failure in national pride. As of now, the investigation continues. No formal trial for recovery has been set, no gems retrieved. The men behind bars keep their silence. Whether they are masterminds or scapegoats, only one truth remains. France's most secure museum was breached, not by force, but by knowledge. Months after the verdict, the Louvre reopened the Galerie d'Or Palm. The glass cases stood repaired, gleaming beneath restored chandeliers. But inside, their emptiness spoke louder than any artwork. Visitors stopped, stared, and took photos of what was missing. The vacant displays became exhibits of their own, ghostly reminders of the night France's most guarded treasures vanished. Security at museums across Europe changed overnight. New biometric systems replaced keycards. Every contractor, cleaner, and technician required background checks. The Louvre staff underwent months of retraining, and dozens of administrators quietly resigned. Forensic audits revealed vulnerabilities in over 20 other national institutions. The ripple effect extended far beyond Paris, from Florence to Vienna. Curators whispered the same question: if the Louvre can fall, who among us is safe? For Detective Elodie Marchand, the case left scars. In a later interview, she admitted she still woke at night to the echo of alarms. It wasn't the money, she said. It was the idea that we could lose part of our identity in a single hour. Her final report concluded that while 3 men stood trial, at least 2 others remained unidentified, possibly living quietly in Eastern Europe under new names, their fortune hidden behind layers of diamonds already recut and resold. Experts estimated that within a month of the theft, the gems had been divided into nearly 1,000 smaller stones. Each passed through Antwerp's diamond market, where certificates of origin could be adjusted for the right price. By the time authorities traced the first sale, the buyer had already vanished behind an offshore holding. For France, the humiliation was cultural. The Louvre, a symbol of preservation and pride, had been stripped of its invincibility. The theft became a mirror, reflecting the fragility of modern security and the arrogance of believing perfection is unbreakable. One journalist wrote, "They didn't steal a crown. They stole our certainty that the past was safe." And so the story remains unfinished. The jewels may never return, but the myth of their disappearance endures. Whispered in galleries, studied in criminology classes, dramatized in documentaries. Some say the pieces are hidden in a private vault, waiting for the right buyer. Others believe they were destroyed the same night, their beauty sacrificed for anonymity. In the end, perhaps the truth no longer matters. What remains is a single haunting question. If the Louvre can be breached, what else or who else is truly beyond reach?